All right. So your first task today, just to bring our brains back to what we've been working on. Now, closure. I don't like making announcements when I know people are still doing stuff, because I don't want people to miss information. We jumped to closure, right? Because you guys had a day without me, and I never know who the guest teacher is going to be. So we need to come back and pick up 218 and 219. Okay, so that's today, tomorrow. At some point, we got to decide when we take your test, and a question that goes with that, or a piece of that, is the rest of the Chapter 2 homeworks that you have not turned in are just going to be one batch together. Or like when we take the test, or whenever you're done with all of them. 218 is a different color because I had to make those copies here, as opposed to the copy center. Every now and then, a batch of your copies get sent somewhere else, and my 218 copies took a trip to who knows where. But they're in somebody else's mailbox that they don't belong in. I was hoping that they would figure it out and send them to me before today, and sad trombone, they did not. So here we are with pink. So another thing, as we look at going into Chapter 3, because apparently there are some very strong feelings, we need to take a vote of salmon colored versus pink. Okay, so this is salmon colored, right? Kind of a bit more orangey. This is pink. Right? So hands up if you want to keep on with salmon as we go into Chapter 3.
Mr. Hudson.
Yes.
Can there be secret option number 3?
What is secret option number 3?
The pale yellow.
The pale yellow?
No.
Do we like pale yellow?
Wait, pale yellow is easy to read and it's not too bright and it's not a color. But so is
Should we completely switch colors for a chapter just to get away from the color we just used?
Yeah.
Are you saying let's switch to pale yellow at least for a chapter?
Yeah.
Alright, so we'll make pale yellow a third super secret bonus round. It can't really be super secret if we're going to vote on it. So we'll start with that. If you want pale yellow, let's switch it up completely and go to yellow.
Wait, no,
Some sunshine.
we finish off the salmon and then go to yellow? No,
Well, yeah, I'm talking for Chapter 3.
Okay.
Because I need to send those copies, right? I have not sent those copies. Okay,
Two-handed.
unless something else gets all of the other votes, that's going to win. So salmon, hands up for salmon. Smoked salmon is pretty delicious. All right, hands up for pink, like the pink you're looking at right now. Okay, we'll probably come back to pink for Chapter 4, but for Chapter 3, we will likely do we'll do the pale yellow then.
Oh,
I like the pink one.
I met spicy water on Discord over the weekend.
Did you?
Yeah.
How is Satya doing?
He's doing fine.
Did he ask like how the heck you knew who he was? And, like,
No, he has his Discord listed on his channel, but I'm like, oh yeah, Mr. Alex.
all right,
I said that too.
look.
There's extra secret.
No, there isn't. Yeah, the invisible paper.
No, that's blue, but with a very extremely, very, very, very pinkish hue to it.
Gross. Blue with a pink hue. What? I'm so confused. But all right, we gotta move on. We're taking too much time. Oh, you're funny. All right, so on our start slide, it said like if you want, right? Because we're getting to the point of hopefully we don't need the manipulatives. They're beneficial, right? They help us out. Having those tiles is really beneficial. But at some point, we're going to need to be able to do this without actually using the tiles. And especially like on our homework, which we're going to dive into a few of those problems. On our homework, we don't need to use the tiles, right? It shows us the whole tile setup. So please, again, if you have tiles on your desk right now, you are responsible for making sure all of them get back in the bag, zipped up, and get back in the drawer or the box where you got them. Henry.
So, I saw that you put checks on our test. Does that mean they're not
On your
master
tests.
assignments?
You didn't get your test back yet. I just gave you guys that practice work. I still have your tests up here. I still need to get them back. You're talking in math. Because in math, they should be mastery or progressing or whatever.
They're mastery.
Yeah, they're mastery grades in math. So I think I can pull up Rob's Hold up. Hey, so go ahead while I do this to get everyone squared away and knowing what's going on. Go ahead and compare for A and B here which side is greater, right? Use whatever strategy you want to get rid of tiles. We can make zeros. We can group opposites.
What are we calling this thing?
Today is solving for x. I would not even write using algebra tiles. I would just put solving for x.
Slow down a little bit more.
Why?
Because B. Hey, whoever's whistling, please stop. 7th grade classroom appropriate behavior. We don't just randomly whistle while things are going on. So this is Rob Zub, our friendly classmate who does not exist. And these are the 3 grades that you should have in for our math class right now. I need to go in and fix the standards. So I stopped marking standards on these last 2 assignments because I need to add in standards that I haven't taught before, or at least like coded in math. So I just have to do a little tweak with Mr. Estes. These are your 3 math grades right now. Before, huh? What?
The last name.
Zub, his real name's Dove, and we wanted him to show up at the very bottom of the list, so we just made it ZY. Because we've never had an alphabetical name show up past ZYO. So he ends up, so when we go here, if you really want to know the true answer, it's so I can scroll all the way to the bottom and grab Rob real quick. So he is the son of a previous teacher here. He plays saxophone professionally, actually. He's a professional musician. But before Discovery Day, okay, your Chapter 2 homeworks of, and I don't like this view. When you go to your other view, the numbers pop up, like when you hover on it or whatever, the numberings of those homeworks. But just to paraphrase and get us on with stuff, all the rest of Chapter 2 is on Quarter 1. Okay, so we're taking that mastery this week. Those assignments will be due this week. That's all Quarter 1 work. Okay, we will probably just make that the cut and say quarter 1 involves Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Everything onward is Quarter 2. Okay, so just so we know, as we get close to Discovery Days and we're talking about that, your Quarter 1 work is Chapter 1, Chapter 2. So if you get a progression on the Chapter 2 test, take care of that, like pretty quickly, please. This is not the right window that I should be in. This is. All right, so you're comparing the left side, right side, while I pass out your test set. I always put test face down. Just that's a thing I do to respect your privacy, so please don't think that means anything. I normally just put it on your desk and I put it face down.
Were there any problems like so many people missed that you took out of the mastery?
No, not really. So like I made notes on people's tests. So like with that, like he mastered it, but I wrote quartiles because if there's one thing that you want to go review, you should go review quartiles.
I like quartiles.
Well, you probably don't like them because you're not very confident with them. Once you get more confident with them, you'll like them more.
I have a broken piece of a tile.
I think I did that right when you gave it to me. Yeah, check map extensions, but I think I took care of that already. Logan, what's up?
Okay, so you know how like you put like a check inside of a circle if it's a check, right? And where's the squiggly, like some sort of squiggly abomination inside of my?
You know, Logan, I don't pick on you for your sloppy handwriting that I can barely read. Why are you picking on me about my sloppy handwriting? That's an M while I sit on my couch and I do your grading not here at my desk. And yeah, my handwriting gets a little sloppy sometimes. But I don't pick on you, so why do you pick on me?
I can't pick on anyone for handwriting.
I can explain.
Anyone think they know which side is bigger up there?
I do.
The left mat or the right mat? What do you think, Katie Ann?
The right now.
The right mat? Now, how did you get to that point of saying that?
I figured it out.
You figured it out. I don't know what that means.
Can I go up there then?
Sure.
Yay.
Now remember, if you want to write on the screen that looks, just the regular internet screen, we hit the right button, we hit this, and we hit that. So as we come up and we do stuff, and then if you want to change color or thickness, that's all right in there.
So first, I brought these over.
still mastery. You don't have to have a mistake-free assessment, but if you are upset about that, I need you to progress anytime you make a simple mistake. This time that grade's already done. Guys, so this is part of that whole like brainwashing about Phoenix. Making mistakes is part of the learning process. So making a mistake doesn't mean you didn't master content. You might have made a simple math mistake, and I don't care about that because I wanted to see, do you understand this process? Not can you multiply 7 times 12 or like what, like, you know what I mean? So sometimes, I'll just throw it away, yeah, when they break in half. So, like, some of you might have to get used to that. You can make a mistake or two, and it's still mastery. And with me specifically, I want to push you, so I make your test pretty darn hard. Sometimes there's a question or two on there I'm not expecting that you get right. I just want to see how you'll think and see your thought process. So, Alina, I need you to hear me when I say sometimes there are questions you don't need to get right to be mastery. You know, like I am, like they're for next chapter or they're upcoming. So a teacher, this is something that teachers do. A teacher might give you questions that you don't know yet to see, does somebody in this class know this already? And can I use them while I teach, right? Like, so if I see you know how to do something in the upcoming chapter, I might incorporate you in my teaching. All right, so sorry, we had other questions while Katie Ann was solving. But Katie Ann, what'd you do up here? I like your drawing, but explain it to us.
Well, pretty much.
What are the things that are circled?
Circle means they equaled out, so I took a negative and a positive.
So with the tiles on the bottom that got crossed out.
So pretty much I brought them over. I brought them to the like the positive side.
And what happened when you did that?
I just switched them, so like negatives became positives and positives became negatives.
Yeah, love it.
I equaled them out, so then there was -3 and 0.
Wonderful. Any questions on that? Do you already have B?
No. Well,
Okay.
yes.
What do you got? Comment?
At my dad's college, they would basically give tests like answers that no one's ever solved before.
Yeah.
To give it to them and like just see,
See
how
what you do
what
with
their
it.
problem solving was. And my dad always got so mad when he got one of those because he thought he would get it wrong and no one's ever gotten it right.
Anybody have any questions or confusion about working with the mat? So now where we're headed. Henry?
I solved the 272B, and there's no concrete answer.
What do you mean by that?
I have an answer.
Well, Henry's talking.
X plus 1 minus 1 minus 2x just equals out to be -x. And the other side is -2, and they're impossible to compare. They do not equate.
All right, let me get caught up with you. 3 plus x minus 1 minus x minus 4. So to get rid of these parentheses, we apply what we know and love, the distributive property. My signs keep falling down. We distribute that opposite, right? So that becomes, well, x plus 1, nothing happens there.
Were you going to say gravity?
I stepped on it. That wasn't its fault. It's my fault.
I'm confused. Wait, what happened in green?
It's the other
that's
part.
what I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
it's the other part.
Okay.
So when we distribute the negative, we got that. Henry said these go together, make a 0. These can also go together, and x and 2x. We have 3x. Over here, distribute your opposite.
But those are distributed.
What do you mean? For blue or for green?
Blue. I mean, because why would this be multiplied by 1? It doesn't say multiply by 1 anywhere.
What do you mean? Why is what multiply? Are you saying this?
Yeah.
This is telling us it's in the opposite area. So remember, when we relate this, and this is why we're doing these two problems right next door to each other, these are in the opposite area. So we have the opposite
of a 1 and 3 negatives. Right, now those are like terms, and we could actually do those together. Same with, like, all of these are like terms. But this is saying we have the opposite of a 1, which is -1. And we have the opposite of a -2x, positive 2x. So we get 3x on the left-hand side. Because if you did not get 3x, please fix your work.
I thought it was x plus 1 minus that 1.
Yes, it is. Or it's x plus 1 and the opposite of that quantity. It's either, right? It can't be both, but it's whatever you choose it to be.
I did the same thing except I broke that up into 2 steps.
So guys, this is why we're doing this. So if your brain is not happy about this right now, that's fine. But I need you to be working with me, writing things down. Right? So here, this negative, or the opposite of, or subtraction. Same thing if I wrote it as like subtract x, subtract negative. So actually here, Henry, I will write this one using the subtraction to help with everybody kind of who is thinking the same way as you. Because I agree, it's very weird at first. So take away an x, okay, minus x. Take away a -4. Okay, we'll take away -4. I can write it like that.
I don't like that at all.
Neither do I. So then I have 3 and the -1. I'm going to go ahead and put those together, so I have 2.
Wait, can you spell it the other way?
No, not right at this moment, because I'm doing this for that student, not for you. Sorry, Liam, love you. I will go back, but you can't stop me in the middle of helping a classmate just because you don't like it. Just shut your eyes if you need to. So then I have a positive x, a negative x, those cancel. And then I still have the opposite of a -4, or take away -4, which, well, the opposite of -4, or take away negative, is like add positive. Oh, this is 6. We should end up with 3x compared to 6. Any remaining questions, Hazel?
Well, we can't tell which one is bigger.
You are correct. Unless we knew what x was, we can't tell which one's bigger.
Or unless we know if the x is bigger than 2.
Ooh, or, anyone tell me what else would let us know what x is? Since our lesson told us we're solving for x, Charlie.
If they said that they were equal, then.
So if we say these are equal, what does that mean?
Oh, divide
X is, yeah, and then we get,
and then you get x equals 2.
welcome to algebra. No joke, we're now doing algebra. So when your parents or people are like, what kind of math are you doing? They're expecting for you to answer algebra, geometry, one of those like names of the branches. We, from this point on, would like to try to solve these problems without using algebra tiles. We still can, but we're going to try to pull that support away.
Why can't we always use algebra tiles?
Because they take too long and mathematicians are efficient.
Because we won't always have algebra tiles.
Absolutely.
Pretty sure it's carried.
All right, so Logan.
And I just want to say, since we're getting into algebra, please stop using the 5D process.
Oh, you don't have to use the 5D process. Man, I formalized a long time ago. This gets back to what we keep talking about. When you don't listen, you end up working extra hard. Who's heard me say you never have to use the 5D process?
I understand it's on the homework.
Yeah, I even wrote it in the homework because I modify those homeworks.
Oh,
So,
you modified them?
Some of them,
You
but
should have.
yeah. So, and that's also why I end up with typos because I'm making those. But so you don't have to use the 5D process. It's just like guess and check. It's a fancy name for guess and check process. Which a lot of math you can do some guess and check. What'd you say?
The tesseract process.
Sure. Hazel?
If you modify the homework, could you put dragons into the story problems?
I mean, maybe, but what I mean by modified, I'm still using the CPM homework, but I type extra stuff in or I change how it's written. So you can still go use homework help, like, because it's the same questions. So I'm not saying I make all the homework. I really like CPM. I really do. I'm not saying that because I'm a teacher. Like, I would have stopped using it if I didn't like it. I, years ago, was making everything from scratch. All right, so now with algebra, if we're told that the left side is equal to the right side, we now get to this new thing that is not an expression mat, but what we call an equation mat. So if you look at your homework and you look at the mat that you see on there, it's not two separate mats. It's one mat with a double line down the middle. So we're going to go ahead and skip over 73 and go straight to 74.
I'm still not done with their other mat yet.
Don't just move on, and we'll fix it here. Okay, we'll take care of any issues. We'll take care of right here. So here's our equation mat, right? And I am not giving you one because it's a waste of a resource page, so I'm not printing them out for us. But let's go ahead and write down what we have here and formalize this. So take a moment. However you see turning this into numbers and variables, whatever you got to do, write this out on your paper where left side is equal to right side.
So, math, okay.
Yes, math. Don't worry. Give me a second.
How many bases?
Oh, by the way,
Yes.
during this teacher break, I was doing my homework and I was doing a closure. I had to check it. There was one where it was like the answer is, and then I wrote down the algebraic expression for how we see the algebra tile mat. But it didn't give like answers may vary, and the one after that said answers may vary.
You're probably fine. Yeah, if you're confident in the work you're doing, if you want to talk about it, just come see me at Extension today.
Okay,
We
it's
can have a
just
chat.
because I don't write negative as in like the negative zone where it's negative and then I present.
Oh, that's okay. That's totally fine, man. Yes.
What if
I
your
am.
brain sees it, how it is like simplified?
Then as long as you can write it down, you just have to be able to write it down.
I think I really screwed this up. I'm not sure.
I myself.
Everyone tells me to be a positive thinker. I'm just positive out loud.
So Bear was asking, what if I just see it? Like, I already see it. Okay. Yeah, if you don't have to draw anything or move, like, if you can just do it, sweet. In my mind, I got to start by thinking about how do I get everything up into the positive. So if we want to write things out, so here's what I'll do again, that other method. We're going to write out x. Normally, yes, I would love to have you guys up here, but we're in new territory right here, and I want to make sure we get everybody comfortable. So I have an x, I have a positive 1, and I have 2 negatives up on top. But in the bottom, in the opposite area, I have a 1 and 2 negative x's, so negative 2x. When we go to distribute, and or if you want to think about it physically, move these up into the positive, everything flips. So what was a positive 1 down here turns into a negative 1. Please stop. You're making my job harder. And I don't feel like you dislike me, but it feels that way when you just are doing things that make my job harder. So when my 1 comes up, it turns into negative 1. When my negative 2x's come up, they turn into positive 2x. This is where we show that distribution. Yeah. I'm not done on the left hand side.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Like when you do the negative rule,
Yeah.
I'm confused how you got that because I got negative 2x minus 1.
I'm not cleaned up yet. So hang on, because I think this might be where you're getting confused. I still have this x and this 1 and that negative 2. I still have all of that. I was just talking about from the bottom when we bring it up.
No, I know. No, that's what I'm saying. In the negative, like in the parentheses on
Yeah.
the right side, like my grouping is different from
On the right side or the left side?
or on like in the parentheses.
So this is a positive 1 tile,
Yeah.
right? And these are both negative x tiles.
So
So when I say in the opposite world, with the negative in front of the big parentheses, we put exactly what the tiles look like. But if we first move the tiles and flip them, then what I actually have is this is a negative one, if it gets flipped, and these turn positive. Is everybody with me? Because I really fear that I got some people just not trying this, and then you don't know if you're making mistakes or not. Fine?
Are both sides equal?
I don't know. We're not there yet. Oh, yeah, because it's an equals match. Sorry, I'm only doing the left side right
This
now.
is
I'll
for-
come back and do the right side.
No, I don't mean. Yeah, I didn't mean
All right.
Whoa, that's
Any other questions
How'd you get two?
on how we got this or that? Like my first two steps up here. Obviously.
okay, because like couldn't you also put negative 2x minus 1?
Yeah, you could.
Negative
That,
2x.
that would mean that
It'd be negative 2x plus 1.
For what? For just the second, like all together cleaned up, or
No,
what?
just the like in the opposite.
It'd be negative 2x plus 1.
Oh yeah. You say it like right in here.
Yeah.
When simple. So pause that question. Let me clean this up and see if we end up in the same place. I mean, there's a lot of right ways to get to Florida. You're on a different road than me right now. We're still headed the same direction. You're just on a different road. So when I clean up and I grab my like terms, my only x's are those two and this one. So we get 3x. My constants, negative 2, negative 1, positive 1, well, these guys can cancel each other out, and I just get negative 2. So this could be 3x plus a negative 2, or, Alina, you win on this one, 3x minus 2 is actually going to be the better way to write this here.
I get it. I actually get it.
Check your work. Is that what you got for the left side?
I have a question.
Check your work. Is that what you got for the left side? I'm trying to remember. This is the one that
I got that's what
No,
no.
this is fine.
I got the same answer, but
Yeah.
I want to know why.
I didn't do it on the side. I did it on both sides.
That's okay, but you're like we're going one side at a time. So make sure you get the same answer as us. Okay.
Why is it 3x minus 2 is the better simplified version?
You'll see here in a second. We start doing the algebra.
I'm,
So then my right side.
it's different because the right side's different because like in all the other problems in the parentheses, it's been minus. This time it's plus 1. And
Crap. There's nothing.
my
X
brain
equals
is
3, right?
I don't know. We're not there yet. I'm still trying to get my problem written down.
Okay.
Quit asking me for an answer when the process is still going. Yes.
Once we get it to a simplified form, can I like do the thing where you show how you?
Yeah, like the both sides algebra. Yeah. Is anyone confused? We maybe should have started with the right side. Who are you looking for? We don't do that. We have pencils. We do. I can loan you a mechanical pencil. Can't have it forever, but I will loan it to you.
Okay, I'm gonna
Or not. Anybody confused with how I wrote this like that? Or how we then, when I move the tiles, this actually becomes positive, and this actually becomes negative.
I'm getting it.
Hey people, I feel as if I'm losing you. Need you to come back because this is a huge standard for this year. Taking what is simplify algebraic expressions. I know I got some people who are like, I appreciate if you are one of the people having to be very patient right now. Because I know there are some people iffy and that's why I'm going slow, but I know we're going slow. Yeah, I know we're going really slow. We have 5 on top. In the opposite world, we have a negative x and a positive 1. When we distribute that negative, we get this. When we put the terms together, we'll get 4 plus x for the right side. Any
X
questions
plus
there?
4.
Or x plus 4. It does not make a difference. We talked about commutative property last week, how we can move things. So now, what we really have is, let's write in green, just because 3x minus 2 equal to x plus 4. We'll go ahead and write it with the x first, because like I told you guys, that's the better order. Simon, now here's the thing I do up on the board. I do all my both sides work. What are you doing? Get out of here. I do all my both sides work in red. So if I'm at the screen, and you guys might work different, but if I'm at the screen, I'm writing in red whenever we change both sides together. So that would be my advice to you. Let's start with red.
So the first thing you want to do is doing your addition and subtraction instead of doing division, since that makes it more complicated. So what I mean by that is I would add two, if I were to add 2 here, and then add 2 here.
Now, exactly how he's writing it, you show it vertically, directly below the thing it impacts. So don't just put a +2 like willy-nilly. Put it right below the number it goes with.
Yeah.
So then he cleans it up.
So now it's just, I'm sorry, 3x
We got much brighter. Simon's more excited than I am.
equals, just equals x plus 6.
Now notice he only did one thing. You could do multiple things on both sides, but that's asking to make a mistake. So his left side is only variables. His right side is still mixed.
So then we want to get rid of the x, which we could do by just subtracting x. Be careful, remember this is just an x for this side, because this isn't going to equal 3, this is just going to equal 2x.
Oh, I
And
get
you
this.
could write 1x. Instead of just putting minus x, you can write minus 1x. Some people need to do that to remember, oh yeah, I take 1 away from the 3. I don't take the x away.
Oh, so then you just do
Yeah. So now all you're left with is 2x
Equals what?
6.
There we go.
Then all you have to do is divide by this number right here.
What is that number that's attached to the variable?
2.
Well, yeah, but what's it called?
Oh.
Starts with a C.
constant.
Nope. Ah, the coefficient. So what Simon is saying is we divide by the coefficient, because we want to get rid of it. Now be careful, you wrote a plus. That doesn't work.
I realized that after
So,
I did it.
yeah, just grab that and do that.
Okay. Subtract.
So, I'm going to jump in, because here's where I'm very specific with notation. Alright, you're awesome, but I'm really particular with this, so I'm going to jump in. Simon did everything right, but he was about to write the division using this, which will make your work more difficult to follow. When you get to the division step, just write it as a fraction. When you go to divide, and please make sure this is in your notes. I got some people that aren't taking notes at all, and that makes me upset that you're somehow in the advanced class and you don't want to partake in math. 2x equals 6. All I gotta do is get rid of that 2. Divide by 2 on both sides, and we get x is 3 still. The value of x is 3. How we can check that is we go back and make each of these 3 or negative 3. This will work out. The left side will balance the right side. Questions? So now, on your pink homework sheet, you have problem 70. What?
It's a comment. I tried to do, try to isolate x on the right side.
Yeah.
Because I'm right-handed.
And you got negative?
My eyes just like go to the right side.
Yeah.
And that's how my brain works.
So you can do that.
But then like it messed me up.
Yeah, it should work out right if you don't make any mistakes, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
A lot of times one way works better than the other. So now we're gonna skip this because we're gonna go ahead and look at your homework paper. So if you pull out your pink homework paper, the one we just gave you today, 75 is on there. So we're gonna go through 75 together. And you might want to do these on your graph paper. Remember, this doesn't have to be done on your homework paper. I just wanted to make sure you had it in front of you. I'm going to do each one of these one at a time. So before I move on, I need you to ask me questions if you have questions. Go ahead and write down wherever you're going to do the work, even if you're going to do it on your homework paper, always. And guys, some of you will end up with progressings because you made mistakes because you skipped this step. Always write down the original first. So even if you know what to do in your first step, write down the original. So guys, I'm telling you always got to know where you start from. Do not start by doing work. Start with, oh, I have this. Avi?
Like, if we do it on our graph paper, should we staple it to our...
It doesn't need to be done. That's not part of your homework. So below where it says this is your assigned homework, so I don't care about anything that's above that. It's just reference for you. So you can do a couple of these there if you want to, just be able to look back and view what we did in class. As Simon said, but I want to put a bigger emphasis on this, we could multiply or divide first if we wanted to. However, it's gross, it's messy, and it is just begging to make mistakes. Because if I start with division, give me your eyes for a second. Give me your eyes for a second. I have 3 times x, and I know I just want 1x. So if I go to divide by 3, here's why I don't start like this. What this becomes is just x, but then minus 7 thirds equals 2 thirds. We don't want to go that route.
Oh, also,
Even though it's not terrible here, it's a lot not as nice. And that was bad grammar. But Simon.
Also, if there's an x on the other side that isn't equal, it completely messes everything.
Yeah, and if there's multiple variables, it messes up everything. So, as Simon said, but again, he said it quickly, do addition or subtraction first. Guys, give me your eyes again real quick, just because, again, this is my first time teaching this to the Math 8 class. Okay? It might help you if you're at all struggling to go through and identify variable term, constant term, constant term. Because what this tells me, my right side is pretty clean right now. It's only a constant. My left side is mixed. Fix your left side. Get rid of the fact that it's mixed by getting rid of this minus 7. How do we get rid of a minus 7? Do the opposite. We add 7. Some people like to do the dotted line down the middle. I don't care if you do the dotted line down the equals or not. My 3x is now lonely, which we like. And it's equal to 9.
Terrible people.
Hey, at some point you'll appreciate how nice a quiet house can actually be.
Wait, so then we do the division thing. With
Now, because we have 3 times x, we just divide by that 3. And you get x is 3. CPM really liked making x 3 in this lesson. X is not always 3.
on the
Yeah,
test, everyone
don't.
puts
It seems like that right now, but x is not
We
always
all
3.
win.
I want you to take the next 3 minutes and try to solve whatever one of these you want. I'm going to put the answers up in a minute so you can verify, did I do things right? But I want you to, dive in and pick one, clean it up, try to isolate a single x. 1x.
So, we don't have to do anything after.
Yeah, they're not part of your homework. They're just examples that we could, have to reference back to together. I am going to do D up here just because it involves another one of those distribution situations. So if you want to jump to D with me, you can.
Holy crap, it's x again. X equals 3.
Which one? Oh my gosh, it's
Wait, is B
I would actually love it if you would write D out on your paper and do it with me, because these are the situations that I'm worried about you making mistakes in.
Wait, can we do that after we finish the other one?
For sake of time, I'd rather you do it right now.
Alright.
Here's what messes people up. This goes to both of these. I always draw the arrows. Still today, years and years after I need to, because I know, I still always do it. Because otherwise, occasionally, I'll forget. You get working fast and you just make a goof. So now, yeah, we all make goofs. It's okay. Now we have 3 plus 2x. I can either write plus negative x or just minus x. I can either write plus negative 1 or just minus 1. It it doesn't matter. The right side didn't change, so I don't change it. Clean up the left side. Right? Because there's stuff to be done. What can go with the 3? Yeah, the -1 and the -1, so that gives me 2. What goes with the 2x? The -x.
You forgot to write the x near the 2.
These roots.
Well,
So
yeah,
I
know,
cleaned
but
up
when
everything
you're writing
together.
the 2x plus 1x.
It's not 2x.
So again, guys, I love when you want to like jump in and help, but please double check if you're going to say a mistake has been made. These made this. These made the 1x.
Oh.
Right? So we got to
I
group
thought you were
like
saying-
term. I know what you thought, but that's why I need like we gotta be aware of what's actually happening. So I group my constant with my constant, my variable with my variable. Now, here's why this is so hard. How many correct choices do you think there are here? There are 4 correct options for what you do next. You could either subtract 2, or subtract 1x, or subtract 3x, or subtract 6. This is where the algebra gets tough, is you
Is this for
have to
C?
pick. This is D.
Okay.
Except I wrote +6 instead of -6, apparently.
Yeah, that's what I was a little bit.
Well, then catch me on it.
That's what I was asking you.
Oh,
Erase me.
Because we're out of time.
I know, but I'm bleeding over because Mrs. Golding does that sometimes, and it's all right. We're finishing this real quick, so please don't pack up. I promise Golding will forgive me.
No wonder I was confused.
Yeah, my bad. I wrote it down wrong. Catch me when I make mistakes. It happens. We all do it.
2x equals 8.
My advice always, find the bigger variable first and make that your variable side. 3x is bigger than 1x, so I'm going to bring my variable over here. This becomes now just 2, because that's gone. This is 2x minus 6. What do I do now? Plus 6, right? Because I need to clean up that right side.
8 equals 2x.
Yeah.
C.
If 8 equals 2x, what's that tell us?
X equals 4.
Absolutely. X equals 4. All right, with that, I'm out of time. Yeah, I know, that's a me thing. I'm sorry. If we use a B, I will be very particular to make the B look one way and the 6 look another way. Yeah, I'm aware of that, so thank you. My 5s often look like S's, too. I'm sorry. Hey, what's up?
Can I do C right?